Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. The obvious question after Naoya Inoue's latest destruction, this time of Luis Nery, is how does he get on when he moves up to featherweight? Because that's probably the next goal. I mean, there are other contenders at 122, but does anyone give him a real chance? Most people wouldn't. The challenges probably lie at 126 at featherweight. So I thought we'd just have a look at some of the champions, maybe a few of the contenders, just to see if there's anyone there who you would favour over Inoue. And there are no unified champions at 126. We've got 4 fighters with 4 belts. So I start with the WBO, and the WBO champ is Rafael Espinoza, who upset Robeisy Ramirez in a fantastic fight last year, back into last year, I think it was. The reason I start with him is because he's so damn tall. He's 6'1", and a 6'1" featherweight. Well, they're not two a penny, are they? And have we ever seen Inoue ever fight anyone who is, well, maybe not that tall, but considerably taller than himself? He's fought taller opponents, no doubt about that. But I mean, Inoue, we're talking probably 7 or 8 inches taller than Inoue. What is Inoue? 5'4", 5'5". Yeah, let's say for the sake of argument, he's 7 inches taller, over half a foot. Now, okay, you can say, well, height isn't everything. You're absolutely right. Dimensions aren't everything. Absolutely right. Don't forget, Robeisy Ramirez floored Espinoza. Robeisy Ramirez is an extremely skillful Cuban fighter. But Espinoza got off the floor and actually showed a lot in that fight. He showed that there's no quit in him. He showed he can come back from adversity. He showed that he can fight as well as box. It isn't all about using his dimensions. He's Mexican. Toughness is a given. And I think, he's a worthy champion. But so I'm curious to see him in there with Inoue. I know what people are going to say, well, Inoue would chop him down with body punches, and Inoue is a great body puncher, as we know. And, Espinoza almost went out against Robeisy. So, he can, he's probably going to come off second best against Inoue. But I'm just so curious to see Inoue fight someone that tall. So I thought I'd start with him. Moving on to the IBF, we've got Luis Alberto Lopez, who is a proven champion. He has been beaten a couple of times on points, but is it on points? I don't think he's ever been stopped, does he? I'll have to check that. But another Mexican fighter, another very tough man, tried and tested, has done a bit of travelling, fought in Britain, of course, where he won his title from Josh Warrington, has fought in the US, fought in Ireland, Northern Ireland. He's fought, very good fighter, very, very good fighter. I think this would be a terrific matchup stylistically with Inoue. And he would definitely test Inoue. He's got a great chin, which you need against Inoue. He can get down and dirty. He can fight. He can be dirty in the ring. He can be. He can come back from adversity. He's not intimidated. All of this is stuff that you need if you're going to have a chance against Naoya Inoue. So I think that's a good fight. I think stylistically that's a really explosive matchup. And if we move on to the WBA, we've got the recently crowned Ray Ford, who, of course, is going to fight Nick Ball in the 5 versus 5. Now, Ford said after his last gasp victory that he was not interested in defending the belt. He wanted to move up to super featherweight. He couldn't make the limit. And I don't think he's going to hang around waiting for Inoue. I think what will happen is, win or lose against Ball, he'll move up. But it would be a good fight with Inoue because Ford's size, when you consider Inoue started at light fly, and Ford is now, he claims it's very difficult to make 126. So we can say he's probably coming into the ring at maybe lightweight, in terms of poundage as a lightweight, might be a natural 130 fighter now. So again, he's got some skills, very slick, can fight, doesn't mind, got a good jaw, Proved that in his last fight. Hung tough. No quitting the kid. Certainly no quitting the kid. I mean, he last gasp victory. Yeah, again, a good matchup. Would you favour Inoue or would you favour Ford? At 126, if Ford is weight drained, I mean, he's got to get through Nick Ball, which is no given. But I think we'll know more about Ray Ford after he's fought Nick Ball. But I don't expect him to stay around for Inoue to come up to 126. So that's Ray Ford at the WBA champ. And then the WBC champ, talking to Nick Vargas, talking of Nick Ball, we've got Ray Vargas, who fought Ball last time out and they had a disputed draw. In fact, Ball retained his mandatory status, I believe, after that fight. But he's going on to fight Ray Ford, another Ray. So this Ray Vargas, tall fighter, tall featherweight. Again, another get-involved type. Gives up a lot his height a lot of the time. Good fighter, but Ball gave him plenty to think about. I don't know if out of all the four, who would I go if I was Inoue? I'd probably go for Vargas. Even though Vargas is very tall for the weight as well. There were some vulnerabilities against Nick Ball, and a lot of people thought he was rather fortunate to escape with the draw. Yeah, I think I made Ball the win. I can't remember. I didn't think it was a robbery, but I did think that Ball probably edged it. So those are the champions. I think of the four, I would probably pick Ray Vargas. If I was Inoue, I'd go looking for him as a first port of call. Because no doubt, knowing Inoue, he's going to want all four belts, isn't he? But we mentioned Nick Ball. How about, if we're talking contenders, how about Nick Ball in with Inoue? Inoue would be taller than Nick Ball, but Ball comes to fight. I mean, Jesus Christ. I love watching the guy, but you talk about walking into the cannon fire. I mean, if you're going to walk into Inoue, you got something waiting for you, haven't you? Let's be honest. It would be great while it lasted, but I'd probably favour Inoue. You don't know. I mean, Inoue. I know people making a big deal out of Inoue being flawed, but let's bear this in mind, right? Luis Nery caught Naoya Inoue with a perfect left hook. And one thing we know about Nery is he can bang. He can really wallop. It was a perfect punch, perfect left hook. All right. I watched G-Man's review of the fight, and he said that Nery was wearing, was it winning gloves, he said? They weren't Clayton Reyes. If the Reyes gloves are the ones where there's very little padding around the knuckle. He said if he'd been wearing Reyes gloves and he landed slap bang like he did on Inoue, would have been very interesting to see if Inoue had gotten up. But even though it landed clean, don't forget you're talking about a man who began at light flyweight. If you notice, he immediately got to his haunches, was looking at the referee. His eyes were clear. When he got up, he looked a little bit shaken, which is understandable. Maybe his legs weren't 100% there, but they were still in pretty good nick. You know, he's backed onto the ropes, skidded off them when Nery let his hands go. I mean, I think, if anything, that knockdown and rising from it proves that Inoue can actually take a good punch, because his legs weren't spaghetti, his eyes weren't glazed. He was fine, and within the second round, he picked up. It just feels like he woke up. He thought, okay, he picked up his game plan and decided, okay, time to go to work now. So I think putting him in with, say, a Nick Ball or Maurizio Lara, for example, someone like that. I don't think it necessarily follows that just because he can get clipped. And if you've got that cavalier style, which Inoue has, I know he's extremely skillful, but he does take a few what to us mere mortals would be considered risks, which is why he got clipped in the first round against Nery. Although that probably had more to do with the fact he didn't look really on. He didn't look like he was concentrating. That even during the I said this in my review of the fight, even during the referee's instructions, he didn't look like he was really paying attention that much. The look in his eyes was rather casual. He in the opening 30 seconds, he threw a ridiculous overhand right from way out. He didn't look like he was on it. Once he gets on it, there's hell to pay. Maurizio Lara and Nick Ball facing him, great fights. Who else have we got at 126? Angelo Leo's in the mix somewhere. I don't fancy his chances, to be honest with you. Edvard Vasquez, Ronnie Rios. Magdalena's in the mix. Jesse Magdalena's in the mix. No, I mean, you'd have to favour, I mean, even like Joet Gonzalez and Josh Warrington. And to be honest, I can pull these names out of the air, but you'd have to favour, I would personally favour Inoue over, if not all of them, then most of them. And there aren't many I'd make as sort of live dogs. You know, I predicted that Inoue would knock out Neary in 5 rounds. And in fact, it was the 6th. It was the 5 rounds fifth round when he started paying attention anyway. So, Inoue, why didn't you pay attention the first round? You could have won me some money, you little bastard. Anyway, Tomoke Kameda actually he's a featherweight. I think they'd go for that, would they? All Japanese affair. Again, I'd favour Inoue. You know, it's difficult. There aren't many fighters I would give much of a chance against. I mean, I would certainly, you know, I can certainly do matchups where I can see great fights, you know, really good fights. But would I pick any of them to beat him? Anyone's beatable, and the higher you go. No, I think featherweight might be Inoue's ceiling. But to be honest, I don't really see anyone who I'd necessarily pick to beat him. And I like the way he stopped off at 122 for this, just the one extra fight, just to let his body settle down at 122. And if he wants another fight at 122, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, he's 31 now. So the weight becomes more difficult to take off anyway. You become naturally bigger. But of course, natural weight is not the same as being fighting fit. Being fit isn't the same as being fighting fit. I would say if he has another 122 fight, that ain't a bad thing. But when he moves up to 126, and like I say, I think Ray Vargas is probably the best bet. Either Ray Vargas or Rafael Espinosa. Those two guys are the ones I want to see him fight first at 126. But yeah, what do you think? Who would you like to see him against? Do you think he can cut it at 126 and Naoya Inoue? Let me know what you think. Let me know your opinions. Let me know what you'd like to see, what you think will happen. And of course, thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, please do so. You'd help us out a great deal. And also, hit the like button as well, because the like button, they count all these likes. I don't know why, but they do. All right. Let me know your opinions and I'll answer them. I always enjoy reading them. Take care and bye for now.